I'm Scott Kinder. I'm a former staff sergeant at 5th Special Forces Group and GS-13 out of the U.S. government, federal level. This is my story. It started well before I did. My dad was non-combat, but Vietnam vet. He was a submariner in the Navy, and then he was a GS in the government as well. So I always had this desire to serve. When I was a young kid, my older brother went to West Point, so I was filled up, with the West Point pieces and all that stuff. Then, when I was in high school, he went to the first Gulf War, in '90 and more. So I got accepted, nominated to West Point, and I was all set to go as a high school graduate. And I was a punk, and I told my dad, like, I'll show you. I'm not going to West Point, and I went and kicked the soccer ball around. But through my travels in college and immediately beyond, I always had this desire to serve, and I never wanted to be. And no offense to those who this might insult, I never wanted to be a person who never did what they criticize. Right? I wanted to say, yeah, I wore a uniform. I gave up a couple of years of my life, whatever. So, I found the 18 X-ray program when I was living in Australia. I called 18 different recruiters across the US trying to get anybody that would talk to me about it or tell me about it. I finally called SF Recruiting, and some smart butt Green Beret told me, like, oh yeah, man, have fun at your school, and hung up on me. And I'm like, dude, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and calling you from Sydney, Australia. So I finally found a recruiter in MEPS in Chicago, flew from Sydney to Chicago, did the whole thing, went back and proposed to my wife. And then, yeah, so went 2 weeks after we were married, I was in basic training, and that was the whole beginning. I mean, it's just about everything, right? I mean, I couldn't put more of an importance on it if I really deliberately thought, and wrote some type of thesis paper on it. Mental strength is everything. It's the challenges we face, when you launch a new product, or you get denied from a job and it doesn't go as well as you thought, or your wife's mad at you, your husband's mad at you, or something's happening because something, a charge to the bank account that neither of you are aware of, and the stress is real, right? I mean, there's so many stressors in life nowadays, and again, they're ever present all the time, just full stop. So having the ability, and again, I tell Green Berets, look, our ability to compartmentalize, and this isn't limited to Green Berets, obviously, but SOF, I'll say specifically, our ability to compartmentalize kept us alive during GWOT, 20 years of war, to where we were deployed constantly. We were gone nonstop. But it's also a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? Like, we can compartmentalize and proof positive. I always, what do you mean by compartmentalize? I'm like, how many times have you, GB, seen a guy, maybe 10 years ago, you in a training course with him or something, or on some mission with him, and you do the bro hug, you catch up for 30 seconds, and then you leave, right? And you're like, I'll see you in another 10 years. We can compartmentalize all day long because we were forced to by the very nature of back to back to back deployments. And when you weren't actually deployed, preparing for deployments. But again, that ability to compartmentalize means that sometimes and you're a side E, right? So sometimes the demons escape and they want to get out. So having the ability to actually proactively address your problems. And, I quote all the time in the project management world, 35% of projects fail because of poor communication. But every suicide is somebody that can't communicate. They can't just say, I need help. And I've never had somebody say, oh, yeah, he came to me and asked for help. I turned him away, and then they killed himself. It's always, yeah, I'll drop whatever I'm doing right now to help you face the demons and get you the help that you need. So again, it's a problem. We're all aware. It's all over everything. And if you're selfish enough to still think that you're the only one that matters in life to that degree, and it's not going to have a ripple effect across the lake, and you have to kill yourself, that who are you? Right? Like, what did you even wear a uniform for? Why? You can't call yourself a team member. You can't call yourself anything else. You're just a selfish POS, in my opinion, who only thought about yourself. I'm guilty of this, right? Because I can compartmentalize so well. When I do talk, it's like an explosion, right? It's like I finally get to the point to where I just go, enough, right? Like, done, and then, but like Guy Quiet is a fellow GB, right? Once we do that, all right, it's off my chest. I'm done. I'm clear. There's no negativity here anymore. It's just, I'm a good NCO. I yelled at you. It's over. Like, move on, right? There's no hard feelings anymore. And but we have to get to the point to where we can proactively understand. Maybe I don't have to just explode, even temporarily. I need to communicate prior to that and recognize the warning signs and see whatever. I mean, if you're a gun owning SF guy, military veteran, or whatever, and you're looking at that thing longingly, like it's going to fit well in your mouth or upside your head, you need to talk to somebody as quickly as you can. because it's not going to go well from there, and you're hurting everybody in your life, and it's all unnecessary. There are mechanism upon mechanism upon mechanisms to get you help and to get you support. We all mop the VA. There's a 24-hour man suicide line at the VA. You can call your police department. They will very quickly show up to your house, especially if you're a special operator, and help de-arm you and destigmify it. Quit worrying about the repercussions of what's going to happen and just save your life. You would save a teammate's life if they were in trouble. Take the energy and actually save your own. Yeah, don't be silent, And again, during transition, I think I mentioned this to Guy when we talked years ago, right? Like we're quiet professionals, but we act like mute professionals. Oh, what'd you do? We make corporations peel back the onion on our service, right? All the time. What'd you do? I was in the army. Well, what'd you do in the army? I was an engineer. What? And then you finally get back to like, oh yeah, I was in special forces, right? Because we're a little bit quiet, but we make these organizations, and we wonder why they don't want to hire us because you made them ask you 17 questions about what your MOS was, and
Yeah.
is that going to be the normal tooth pulling conversation you have every day at work? Hey, did you finish your report on time? Well, I had a late night last night. Is that a yes or a no? Well, define yes. We don't make people peel back the onion on other stuff, but don't be silent. You didn't get through training because you were silent. And if you did, you were a pariah because they literally peer value in more every single phase. So your peers wouldn't have liked you if you were just maybe you ended up in Delta or something after that, right? Because you were such a machine that you didn't have to do anything other than be a lone operator. But the truth is just talk, communicate. Don't be silent. Reach out. Say, I need help. It doesn't make you an abject failure in life if you say you need help. And a phrase I throw out all the time, I'm a very devout Catholic guy, is the last perfect person walked the earth 2,000 years ago. So none of us are perfect. I mess up 6 things before lunch every day, right? As does everybody. We all mess up. And if you mess up, just own it. And if you're in the dark space, you can't get out of your head, guess what? There are professionals that will gladly help you get back in the safe space that you need to be and be a contributing member of society again. And by the way, society needs you. They need people who've served, who understand service, who've truly been servant leaders, who have taking the yoke of horrible things on their shoulders. Look at society nowadays. And they need that. They need more people to show up and actually contribute to make this great country what it could be again. That's the reason I hate Facebook. Every time I log in, somebody else is dead. Somebody else has killed themselves, or somebody. And that's one of the reasons I started this whole thing. I love what you guys are doing. So if we can get this piece of advice out there, and I'm starting a new podcast. I'll have you guys on, so I'll talk about this later on as well. But I'm starting a new podcast company with a bunch of other SF guys in a Marine to truly give people a voice and to open up access because I'm tired of the veteran community just bashing each other and well, this guy didn't do this and this guy didn't do this. And now I'm not talking about the Kennedys of the world, right, or the Shrek McPhees or whatever. Those are easy guys to pick at, but at the end of the day, why do we eat our own all the time? Be happy. Yeah. You served. We served in a weird time, right? I still think the greatest generation of World War II, which is why we're not all speaking German, right? And we've already celebrated like the Vietnam era guys, so I'm not missing them out or whatever. But we were at war longer than any other time in our history. I'm not minimizing that. And here's the real problem, right? Survivability in the battlefield, God bless it, was the best ever in history. But with that, TBIs are real. They don't get better. The amputations and all the body damage and the blast damage and all that stuff, they don't heal, right? So I mean, the cost is we're in 2025, in 2030, and 35 and 40, the cost is going to rise, and we're going to have even more of a bill to pay because Guy and I are going to be in our 70s, right? Eventually, and even lesser available. So just understand that. Be happy. Use the time you have when shit's not going right for you. Sorry, stuff's not going right for you. Communicate, just talk it through and figure out a path and be with people. But again, if you're not likable, don't expect to be liked. And that's a little bit of that self-awareness, right? Like if you're just a raging a-hole, how are you going to get a job anywhere? Especially when you walk in thinking, another LinkedIn post I put out recently was quit tying your military rank to civilian job titles, right? Like a sergeant major, I respect sergeant majors with my soul. Nobody can ever say that I don't, but they're not COO of a company, right? Like a company commander is not a CEO. You're not a division head because you're a platoon sergeant, right? Like quit trying to do all that stuff. And what I'm trying to get at is just know you and put you in the right position because And what I got most people's attention with was, well, what happens when you get that role as a COO sergeant major and they expect all this other stuff out of you that you had no idea what the role looked like? Now you're setting yourself up for failure and misery, and that's a lot harder to recover from than just getting the right role to begin with. I've been in the
Yeah.
transition space for a decade now, and I've learned way more than I ever thought about myself, about others. And, again, just for anybody listening that thinks that I'm, like just Teflon guy that nothing bothers, whatever. I own my own business. I have to make my own sales. I market my own stuff. I do all this stuff. I also am a dad, 22, 18, and 7. I have all the same things going on that anybody else has going on. I've just learned to communicate when I have to. No, I'm not perfect. My wife and I had an argument last week into where I let stuff just build up in my head and build up in my head and build up in my head. And then I apologized, did my explosion, got it out of my chest, got off my chest, apologized, and days later when she forgave me, it was back to normal. I'm kidding, but it was back to normal, right? So we talked about it a little bit, but like you said, we are, if it bleeds, it leads, typically in these podcast things for the military and stuff, right? So like it's an easy target to pick on the Tim Kennedys, the Shrek McPhees, the whatever's, right? To say, oh, Rob O'Neill did or didn't kill bin Laden and all this other stuff. Well, you weren't there, right? Like, why are we eating our own? Why do you have the passion to tear apart people who wore uniform and served as well? Keep those opinions private. I think that a public forum that highlights the value, because again, even after the military being around for 250 years, right, the civilian population still doesn't understand us, and that's on us. And it's on us to make them or allow them to better understand us more easily. So I think this is a great vehicle. When I first saw the notes in Guy's email and got the link and stuff, I was like, yes, I can't wait. Because it's a positive look at a massive problem without an agenda of, oh, I just want to raise money for suicide prevention. Like you said, everybody in the world is raising money and awareness for suicide prevention. We can have a conversation. And I think that you guys are doing a bang up job of facilitating no offense to the non grown ups, but a grown up conversation that allows everybody to sync and have a dialogue that isn't based upon religion or this or I was this or you were that or whatever, but just unite in a one team, one fight methodology. And I couldn't applaud you guys more for doing it. It doesn't have to be a hey, no joke, there I was in the damn Lehigh Valley, right? But there's so many stories that we should be able to share. And when you start talking, you start enabling the communication, right? And the more people that open up, the better that we're all going to be. I'm Scott Kinder, I'm a former staff sergeant of Fifth Special Forces Group and GS-13 out of the U.S. government, federal level. This is my story.